William Seal.
Kia ora tātou katoa, Mr. Speaker, and to members of the House, Talo Whalawa, Ia Malua Whangpoto. May I wish you and members of this House and all the staff a happy new year. I want to particularly wish the previous speaker, Mr. Bakshi, commiserations. As he spoke, I could feel for him how hard it was for him to say the words that he was happy to be with the national government. He struggled through those words. And I know that that is true, Mr. Speaker, because he lives in Papatoetoe, in my neck of the woods, in Manukau. And he would be engaging with many of his community, and many of the Sikh community, of the Indian community, of the Asian wider community would be telling him how awful this government is. And he will be struggling to face the people that he proposes to represent. He'll be struggling to look them in the eye, sir, because in Manukau, in Mangere, throughout the part of Auckland which are listening to this debate, sir, many families are struggling and suffering as a result of the recession in the early years of this government, but as a result of this government's stupid policies, as a result of this government's inaction, sitting on their hands, doing nothing with a focus simply on the meagre wealthy of this country, but also people from overseas. Those actions speak louder, sir, than the words that we have heard from that previous speech, than the words that we have heard from the Prime Minister's statement 2 days ago. Sir, in the short time that I've been in this House, I looked to the Prime Minister's statement as something that was important. And no doubt there are many people up and down this country who looked to the Prime Minister's statement at the beginning of the year to give them some direction as to what is going to happen this year, to give them some hope from the struggles of life that they are experiencing, to give them some vision whether we are going to have a better life the day after tomorrow and hereafter, to give them some sort of a desire, some sort of confidence in their bone that this government and their policy is going to look after all New Zealanders. And I have to say with sadness, sir, that has not been the case. The Prime Minister's statement was dull. It lacked any vision. There was no desire whatsoever to really connect with the community. In fact, the Prime Minister did not even read out this statement, simply tabled it, and as we tried to follow it, he was all over the place. He treated it with disrespect. When people of this country are struggling, having a difficult time making ends meet, they look to the leader of the country to provide some sense of hope. So, and I have to say, there was nothing of that sort 2 days ago when the Prime Minister said or read out its statement. In fact, the media has been correct in what that statement contained. We've seen it in the front pages of the Dominion Post and other newspapers, which highlight that what this government is going to do this term around is constrict further economic growth, sell off state assets, sack a number of public servants. They've already sacked 2,000 people last time, but now they're intending to do more because they believe that somehow by constricting growth, by selling off state assets, by not addressing the unemployment numbers and sacking public servants, that somehow that we would be better off with that sort of scenario. So every day in my constituent, I get people coming and complaining about this government. Every day I get people coming in my constituent telling me about the difficulties they are facing. And they ask, what is this government doing about it? So when the start of the school period, I went along and took my daughter to buy school uniform. There were parents there who struggled when they asked about the cost of a blouse or a skirt or a pair of pants. It was outrageous, the cost of some of these things. In total, the package that I bought for one child was $555. I was angry about that, sir. But as a politician, as a backbencher who earns good money like every other politician here, I suppose I was able to afford that. But I have to say, sir, in my own family, in my community, where the median income is about $40,000, and if you take an average family of four, with 4 kids, how do you think those families are feeling having to try and make ends meet? Some of the schools will offer second-hand uniform, which is cheaper or half price. But when I asked about those, this particular school had none available. Other parents could only afford to buy one pair of uniform. But that does not include the donations that schools are now relying on. That does not include the stationery that children require. That does not include the after-school curriculum activities such as sports or the piano lesson or the drama or the music. All of those things cost money, sir, and for the majority of families who cannot afford it, their children will miss out. And why? Because this government is determined to focus on the mega wealthy. And I call them the mega wealthy, sir, because they don't need money. But the over 600 people on the IRD database that earns $1 million a year, they got an extra $1,000 a week, sir. An extra $1,000 a week that they did not need. But for some reason, this government hopes that they would spend this and that the benefits that go to the mega wealthy would somehow trickle down to the rest of us. Well, the rest of us, sir, only got 25 cents extra an hour. I asked that speaker there and that prime minister, can he live on $13 an hour? Can he live and survive and provide for his children on $13 an hour? No, the answer is no, sir. The answer is no. No family can live and provide a quality of life to their family on simply $13 an hour. But that is what many throughout this country are receiving, particularly within the Pacific communities. I'm disappointed, sir, that for somebody who is out and about in the wider community telling Pacific people how good he is to them, how wonderful Pacific people are, how that he will do things for the Pacific community, so that he wants the Pacific community vote. But in that Prime Minister's statement, not a single reference to Pacific people whatsoever. Not a single reference. Is that because they tried to buy the Pacific vote by giving, without going through the proper authorities, the Pacific Economic Development money, the $4.8 million? For some reason, rather, after asking them a truckload of questions throughout last year, and without giving the proper information to the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs, Mr. Bill English was responsible for this without going through the proper resources. Two days or a few days before Christmas, they then announced, sir, that the money is now going out to 4 organizations. We still do not have the answers as to what that money is going to do for the Pacific community. High unemployment is what we got from this government. High cost is what we got from this government. GST is on the rise. Basic food prices, sir, electricity, power, the cost of living is staggering for ordinary working class families up and down this country, and all they can muster is a smile and a wave, and that's what we got all of last year. And so, sir, on the 26th of November, I know people are going to be asking, are we better off under the national government? And the answer is no. The answer is no, and people are going to vote them out because if we allow them to govern again after 26 November, things will be worse off. Things will be worse off. That is their legacy. Everyone in New Zealand will suffer as a result of this government.
The member whose time has expired. I call Todd McLeod.